What's up? It's Karis, and welcome to my first YouTube video. Woohoo! Honestly, I'm throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. I just want to not work a normal job and to maybe make some art. Is that too much to ask? I don't know, but we'll see if this works out for me. Hopefully it does. So what am I doing today? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to be drawing Stardew Valley characters as Dungeons & Dragons classes. Woohoo! If you can't tell by this title card, I am hugely inspired by Drawfee. They are my heroes. If I could be anything in the world, I would want to be Drawfee, all of them. Every single, like if I could be all 4 members of Drawfee at once. You know what, there's a lot of honorary members. It feels weird to say 4, but like if I could just be Drawfee, I would be so content and happy with my life, I feel. But anyway, so yeah, Stardew Valley characters is Dungeons & Dragons classes. The Bachelors we're going to be looking at today are Sam, Penny, and Harvey. So without much further ado, let's just jump into it. So first we're going to be looking at Sam. Clearly I forgot to record the entire beginning process where I, made a sketch and actually designed the character. You know what, I was getting the hang of it. I've never recorded a paint. I almost said let's play. If only. But no, I haven't recorded a speed paint before, so this was a really crazy experience for me. Normally I just use the Clip Studio time-lapse function, and that's not quite the same as a speed paint. You can't see the whole process. So for Sam, I decided that he obviously has to be a bard. He plays the guitar, he's in a band, he's a bard, and it's just how it works. So I gave him his guitar as sort of his weapon, and I figured he'd probably be in the College of Creation. If you're unfamiliar with Dungeons & Dragons lore, I guess, bards usually have some sort of college that they ascribe to, and that kind of determines what sort of bardery they get up to. That's definitely not the right word to use there. Anyway, but he would be College of Creation because, here's my reasoning, so later in the game, Sam ends up becoming a musician and writes music for a children's show. A children's show about Junimos. How adorable. If you play the game, you know he cares a lot about his little brother Vincent. And so he ends up finding his calling, making little songs and jingles for these children's shows. So I figured his power would be he kind of creates illusions and sometimes even physical manifestations of these little Junimo guys who do his bidding. So, Sam's kind of this edgy teenager character, but I ended up giving him some very childlike powers and abilities because I feel like Sam is very childish. He's like, if I had to guess which of the Bachelors is the youngest, I would either say Abigail or Sam. They've kind of got this immaturity to them. So I went pretty playful with his design. Oh, and as for species, if you haven't guessed already, he is a herringon, which is kind of like a rabbit person. I didn't have much reasoning behind this other than he hops around on his skateboard, and I just thought it would be fun to draw him as a rabbit. So herringons actually have rabbit faces as well, but I was just not brave enough to do that. Oh, look at me struggling with this hand. Don't worry, I get it eventually, and it's awesome. It's probably one of the best hands I've ever drawn. Look at that. Look at that. Look at those beautiful fingers. Anyway, yeah, so herringons, I honestly, I don't want to draw an animal face. I already am like dangerously close to becoming associated with furries from the sorts of things I draw. So, yeah, I mean, this drawing clearly isn't helping. I mean, have you seen the feet I drew, the rabbit feet? That just came out of me. I didn't even know I could draw. I don't draw animals. Like, I don't do that. I only draw people usually. And so when these like perfect rabbit feet just burst themselves into existence, I was like, oh no, is this a sign? This better not be a sign. I know if I'm looking for ways to make money off of my art, there are worse ways to go about it. But I'm not quite ready for that yet. I'm sure it'll happen one day. I'll end up drawing furry art, but I don't want to right now. It's not in the stars. Look at me putting all of this pattern and detail onto his corset, only to cover it up with his guitar. Listen, I hadn't quite figured out what I was doing here. I didn't know what kind of line art style I wanted. I didn't even know like how I was going to render these. You'll see me actually struggle with the rendering process a little bit as this goes on because I wanted to keep it fairly simple because I have 10 bachelors to draw. That's a lot of them to get through. So kind of had to play around with it a little bit, figure out what I wanted. And I think I kind of ended up with something good, something all right. I mean, look at this. Look at those feet. Look at those little toe beans. When did I learn how to do that? I'm concerned. Am I like a secret furry? Do I like sleepwalk and draw furry art in my sleep? That would be a crazy thing to learn about yourself. Anyway, yeah, so I'm working on this guitar here. Dude, I had to look at a picture of a guitar. I still don't think it looks like a guitar, but I really tried my best, okay? I put all sorts of buttons and knobs all over there. Don't come at me if you actually know what a guitar looks like. See, why did I put so much detail onto that freaking corset? There was no point. Anyway, so you can see that I actually color picked directly from their sprites. I did try to kind of blend fantasy outfit with their kind of traditional outfit. I colored my line art. Yeah, and then you're gonna see me completely re-render him later. I started off with this kind of cell shading multiply layer, and I just really wasn't happy with it, and I ended up going much simpler for the next character and a lot of my other characters. So I went back and redid all of this. I think I just really over-rendered it. That's something I'm trying to learn, getting used to digital art. It's like how far to push things, how much to render something, because I don't really know how to render things, so when I really push it, it just looks kind of messy. And I believe, yeah, this is me starting the re-render. I ended up just doing like flat colors to shade in these kind of solid shapes. I didn't blend anything out, and I think that helped things feel a little bit more simple and cohesive across all the pieces, so I'm glad I did it. It was just a pain in the butt to go back and rework all of it. Yeah. And then, you saw his magic earlier with the Junimos and stuff. Anyway. But I'm really glad I went back and changed it, because he looked so bad next to everyone else. I'll be honest, he probably looks the worst out of all of them. Because he's the first one I did. Actually, that's not true. Harvey turned out pretty bad too. I shouldn't beat myself up, because I know like people are gonna see this and they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, Karis, you did art. It is so good. You did art. Oh my god. And I'm gonna be like, no, it's bad. It's horrible. It sucks. And I suck. And I'm a horrible person. But that's just me lying to myself, and I'm working on that. You know, you gotta stop lying to yourself eventually. But here's Sam, the Herringon Bard. Yes. Alright, let's move on. Penny. So Penny was a pretty easy clock for me. She's a wizard, clearly. She, likes books. She's the school teacher. She presumably knows a lot of stuff. And she's pretty boring. I almost made her a human because, I don't know, I just find Penny... She's sweet. She's sweet. She just doesn't have very much going on. So I ended up making her a halfling. I had no reason. Honestly, I had no reason. I wanted some halfling. I wanted some different sized characters. I thought it would be fun. And also, her mother, Pam, is one of the shorter sprites in the game. So I was like, hey, maybe it runs in the family. Anyway, yeah, so I ended up making her a wizard, and I figured she would probably be in the order of scribes, having more to do with, like, histories and stuff. It seemed, I don't know, she's a school teacher. I didn't think too hard about this one. you can see this is when I started making myself little color palettes picked out from the game sprites, and I think that really helped. And just kind of tie everything together. With Penny, I ended up using the blue from her swimsuit scene, like everywhere. I gave her this huge cape and hat, and it kind of really makes her not look like Penny anymore, because it's become such a focal point, and she really, like, you don't see her wearing that blue very much in the game. So, you know, I think I could have done this better. I ended up really happy with the end result, even though it maybe doesn't really look like Penny that much. But, you know, what can you do? I also realized after the fact that I did the like block color shading on her, but then look at that. I went in and put a multiply layer on top of it, and I didn't even notice. I didn't do that with all the rest of the characters, but I don't think it's super noticeable. So here's Penny. She's a halfling wizard, and I think she turned out super cute. All right, now we're moving on to Best Boy Harvey, my man, my bro, the guy with the stash. You might be noticing again that I forgot to record the sketch phase, and you might also be noticing Karis. Karis, wait a second, that's another animal. That's not a human, that's an animal. Karis, I thought you said you weren't a furry. I'm not, okay? I'm not. Animals are fun to draw, okay? Well, and who knew I could also really draw chicken leg claw things really well. I didn't know that until I started drawing. It just kind of happened, and I will take no further comments. So yeah, Harvey is an Arakocra of an owl. It's ironic because he can't join the Air Force because of his bad eyesight. So I made him a bird with good eyesight. Do you get it? Do you get it? I think I'm really funny. Anyway, he's a cleric, obviously. Dr. Harvey is a cleric. It just makes sense. That's what he does. He's the healer of the group. I don't know if Dr. Harvey believes in Yoba, but, you know, if there was any god or religion that a Stardew Valley character would be following, it would be Yoba. That's the only one we know of. So I put a little Yoba symbol on his staff. He's, you know, got his little priestly attire. Again, I kept that green jacket of his, really trying to keep the original colors. You can see sometimes I flip back and forth between the different ones to kind of compare the art styles. And yeah, here he is, Dr. Harvey the Arakocra. If you think about it for too long, it starts to melt your brain a little bit. So anyway, here's all of them together. It's been super fun working on these. I, at this point in time, still have 2 of them left to finish. So hopefully that goes well. But you will get to see more of those in the future. I'm hoping to make a series out of this, and here's to hoping that this takes off and I really like doing it and I can make money and stop being sad. Yay! Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks for joining me, and I'm gonna go play Stardew now for an unhealthy amount of time. Alrighty, bye-bye!